There are many different ways to zoom inside of the project window, and we've already talked about a couple of them, which are the G and H key on your keyboards. So H will zoom in and G will zoom out. But let me show you some other ways that allow you to zoom very, very quickly. My favorite way to zoom in the event display is to use the lower half of the timeline. If I move my mouse into that lower half, then click and drag with the mouse down, then I zoom in. And if I continue to hold that mouse button down and then push my mouse up, then it zooms out. That makes it really easy to quickly zoom in on a particular measure, like measure 9 here, or at measure 17. Just find measure 17, then click and drag down. And then while you're holding your mouse button, you can still move your playback cursor. But there's also a horizontal zoom control right down here. So with this control, dragging it to the left and right will allow you to change your zoom. And with the vertical zoom controller, you can change the height of the events and the tracks they're on. Plus, there are function menus for each of those zoom controllers. If I click the chevron at the top of the vertical zoom controller, then I can zoom to 1 row of tracks, or 2 rows, or 3 rows, or zoom tracks full, zoom tracks minimal. So with those functions, you can quickly zoom the window to the way that you want it to appear. One of my favorites is zoom tracks full. That will take all of the real estate inside of the upper zone or the middle zone and fill up all of that space. Conversely, the horizontal zoom also has functions, and one of my favorites is zoom full, so that if you have a whole bunch of data in a very long project and you just want to zoom out to see all of the events all at once, then click on Zoom to Full. The keyboard shortcut for that is Shift F, and it's one of my favorites. Again, if I'm really zoomed in and I want to get back to see the entire project, Shift and F will zoom to the full view of all of the events in the project. Then you can also change the height of each individual track. So if you go to the boundary between 2 tracks, then you can click and drag and change the height of each individual track. And if you hold down the controller command key and then zoom the tracks, it will zoom all of the tracks as you drag your mouse up and down. And there are even more controls to be found under the Edit menu under the Zoom settings. So you'll notice that we have the Zoom In, Out, and Full that we've already talked about already with the H, G, and Shift F keys. But then there are also vertical controls for Zoom In and Out, and Track Zoom In and Zoom Out, and Undo Zoom, and so forth. So you may want to spend a little bit of time with those to familiarize yourself with their functions. Now in the next section, let's talk about transport and the metronome.